one thing that is, I think, a strong tradition in St. Louis Park is that we don't make any decisions without having citizen input and participation into the decision-making process. So it is my assumption, and we'll see if this turns out to be true, but it is my assumption that the Charter Commission, before making any decision or recommendation on ranked choice voting, it is my presumption that the Charter Commission will hold a public hearing. At which point it would be, I think, highly appropriate for any residents to come and present testimony, or if you can't come, to send emails, make phone calls to Charter Commissioners also. I don't know if the City Council will also hold a separate hearing, but that is a possibility, and that would be another opportunity for residents to engage in this process.
Could I add something to that? I think the reality is that most residents don't even know about something called the Charter Commission. You know, they barely know about the City Council. And I think that, you know, the folks here in this room, we're not normal. We're here on a, you know, on an afternoon, you know, talking about this kind of thing, and that's not where most folks, you know, are and are thinking. And so while I hope that we do invite and encourage folks we know to come to let our voices be heard in whatever way we get an opportunity to do that, I think we also have to we have to understand that that is not where most people are thinking and that we know about. So we can't just say, you know, go and share your thoughts or write, or because it's not really a user-friendly environment for that in general. So I hope that whatever you know, public opportunities there are to come forward, that we really make them inviting to folks to you know, to come in and to learn together and to have conversations. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge in this, you know, in this community, and we have, as you all have noted, a history here, and we have new people moving to this community who don't maybe know it that way. So I just want to really call on everyone here and anyone who hears this message to think we've got to help other people to become more involved and a little more savvy about what some of the opportunities are to be heard.
And I'll add something to that as well. I mean, we had a significant groundswell in regards to the voter turnout, especially in the primary election year. And that was likely because of all the hard work that the candidates were putting in regard to getting the word out as it relates to the fact that there was an election going on, because there were still people. I mean, you know, the last days before the primary, I'm knocking on doors, and then you're like, oh, really? There's an election? I was wondering when those lawn signs were out. Yes, there's an election going on. Get out and vote. So, I mean, the same thing here. You know, for those that are here, because these are the folks that really care about this issue, you know, tap into all your networking groups and resources. Knock on the doors of your neighbors and talk to them and see and let them know that this is an important issue, an important, you know, aspect of democracy that's coming up for our city. Because, I mean, the alternative is exactly as Susanger has outlined, where you could end up having multiple candidates running and have somebody that ends up getting elected without 50% or more of the vote, and that's not what we want. And if the average citizen or member of our community here in St. Louis Park was aware that this is what was at stake, and then they're thinking about our congressional officials or our elected officials in Washington and how dysfunctional things are there, it might get them to come out and attend some of these city council meetings or some of the listening sessions that will be going on with the Charter Commission. Because I was there when City Council voted to accepted the Charter Commission's recommendation and got rid of the primary. And there was a groundswell of individuals that were there, including the League of Women Voters, supporting the aspect of ranked choice voting. So it's up to us to make sure that we're speaking to our neighbors, and whether it be on the Nextdoor app or through the Allies of St. Louis Park or any of the other venues, and make sure that people are aware when there's opportunities for the residents of St. Louis Park to make sure that their voices are heard, they can do that. Writing letters to the Sun Sailor, you know, all those different types of things. There's folks, not everybody's online. Not everybody's on Facebook. So, you know, there's definitely a class of voters that, you know, aren't involved in the, you know, social media aspect. So we have to make sure that we're engaging every voter here, every potential voter here, and make sure that they're getting in contact with either the Charter Commission or their city council member, because at the end, it's the city council that's going to be voting whether it passes or not. So we need all of their support and all of their votes.
So I think, Deb, in most of the races, I don't have all the data in front of me, that either primary or general election that I was on and that Sue was on when we were on the ballot here in St. Louis Park, I think, particularly for the primaries, where there were sort of a multi-candidate field from time to time, voter turnout was always less than 10%, usually closer to 3 or 6%. Wow. And so I have to laugh a little bit when Zaylor says a groundswell, because it's a highly competitive race in Ward 1. That groundswell in the primary, at least I believe, was 12% turnout. So ranked choice would do a whole lot better than that, and Minneapolis and St. Paul are showing that.